podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Football Gods is the podcast where we give celebrity fans ultimate power over football.
Where else could you find out who Max Rushton would cast into the fiery pits of hell?
The person who I'm sending to hell is Ali McCoist.
And find out how David Seaman was influencing David Beckham in the early noughties.
I can't exactly give him steeple hairstyle, can I? No one had that massive ponytail.
You were the original, David.
Yeah, thanks chopping me. I'm well happy with that.
Search the Football Gods wherever you listen to podcasts.
Serie Chronicles Tifosi, it is time for another deep dive. It is already mid-February. I don't know how that's happened because January felt interminable, but here we are. February marks the return of European football. And first up, we have got a huge game in the Champions League between the Italian runners-up, lest we forget, Lazio, and German giants Bayern Munich, who were German Bundesliga champions last season in very dramatic circumstances. It doesn't look like they're going to win the title this time around. We'll get on to that in due course because there was a big game in the German top flight this past weekend. This is Patrick Hendrick, as ever, joined by Mina Rizuki and Nicky Bandini. But, guys, Lazio go into this game on a bit of a high. Ciro Immobile scoring his 200th goal in Serie A, only the 8th player ever to do that, only the 4th in the modern era. If there were a time to play Bayern, is this the right time to do so? They lost against Bayer Leverkusen in that top-of-the-table clash. Mina, over to you.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't hate Lazio as much as everyone else does.
That makes it sound Don't put words in my mouth. I am a Ciro lover. Sorry. Producer Simon is dancing in the background, our resident Romanista, incidentally. Yeah.
I should say that not you two. I know that you two don't hate Lazio, but it seems like everyone else on the internet does. So I don't think they're as bad as everyone makes them out to be. But obviously, this is Lazio. I don't think anyone expected that they'd actually manage to escape the group stage. There was a part of me that was like, they're not going to manage that and it's going to be Feyenoord. But it was brilliant that they did. And I think, Ciro Immobile is sort of back to his best. I thought they were very good signs against Cagliari. I don't know whether to take it seriously or not because it's really important to caveat it with it is Cagliari who is really falling apart at the moment. But I thought that there was a lot more creation of chances, and that's something that we haven't seen from Lazio. Going forward, there isn't an attack right now that's scoring a lot of goals, and there's been a problem there. And I think sometimes the way that they've gone about it, whether it's a long ball at times that we've seen from Lazio, hasn't really been brilliant. And obviously not having somebody not like Milinkovic-Savic has proved to be a problem for them. They've changed a lot. Sometimes they go with quite a muscular midfield. Sometimes they go with a little bit more skill. But I do think that the way that they developed the game against Cagliari was interesting, which gave me a little bit of hope against Bayern Munich. Bayern, it's important to note, has scored like 59 goals or something this season in Bundesliga. Of course, everyone can score goals in the Bundesliga because no one knows how to defend in that league. It's true, they don't know how to defend in that league. But come on, can you just imagine? Like, look, Lewandowski was God. He can't get a goal at Barcelona. But generally speaking, it is somewhat easier because the thing is why the Bundesliga is fun is because it's front-footed. People look for goals. Everyone has an attacking philosophy. It's not the same when you go to, for example, Serie A, where it's a lot more balanced, even in La Liga, where you have to look at different ways to try to match up with the likes of I don't know, Real Madrid or something. But the Bundesliga is very forward thinking. And so there's a lot of goals. And always from all the leagues, they used to top the rankings. Although Serie A now has crept up and actually doing even better these days, which goes to show you where our defending has gone. But this is a Bayern Munich that still scored 59 goals. Yes, they lost to Bayer Leverkusen. Leverkusen just seem to be outrageous at the moment, but this is still a very good side, an exceptional side, if honestly. And they have a near perfect record, 5 out of 6 wins in the Champions League. Thomas Tuchel has problems with some of his players. I do worry about the relationship with Kimmich. I do laugh a lot that De Ligt is not one of his guys, that he's choosing Eric Dyer. It's so funny to me that you would choose to play Eric Dyer over De Ligt. But needless to say, I still think it's going to be a Bayern win, but I do think Lazio have a chance.
Nikki, obviously, we'll get on to Bayern and how their flagging title ambitions might play into added motivation or added pressure on this Champions League tie against Lazio. But first, I want to pause and I want to have a bit of a Ciro Immobile love-in, because I love Ciro Immobile and it is ridiculous. I've got the stats here. I did the game. He's got 200 Serie A goals in 341 appearances. In the last 45 players, only 4 players have done that. The other ones were Baggio, Totti, Di Natale. We're talking about absolute legends. They all took 400 or more games. I know 2 of those are number 10s, and Di Natale was playing in the provinces for Udinese for most of that time. But are we talking about the most underrated player of his generation, at least domestically? We've all followed Italian football for a long time.
Simon's shaking his head.
Simon's going to have an aneurysm.
Are we fair to Ciro Immobile? 200 Serie A goals in 341 appearances.
I think this is like one of those circular conversations that just goes round and round, because I think there are some people who are without question too dismissive of Ciro Immobile for all the reasons you just laid out. He has scored extremely sort of consistently. Having said that, had been on the most significant part of this for me actually is the fact he hadn't scored for 2 months. Now he's scored 2 goals in a row. So that's the most relevant part to this game against Bayern Munich, is that he actually seems to have shaken off his long drought.
Brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. Everyone deserves real. Brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. Everyone deserves real.
He has been an exceptional club level striker for Lazio. Simone Inzaghi is owed a gigantic assist in his career, because I think that when he came back after his really disappointing time in Germany and Spain, it was Inzaghi who said, yeah, I can make a whole team around this guy and the way that he plays and his ability to, especially in that middle part of his career, to be explosive, to get behind defenders and to lean into a quick strike, fast breaking team and to build it around those assets really allowed him to score as many goals as he did. And I think, unfortunately, there have always been limitations in his game. And perhaps if he doesn't have that system and that way of playing, he has not been able to express himself as effectively. And that's why it's never been as good at international level, why it didn't work for him when he was at other clubs. I think you have to, when you have Immobile, if you want to get everything you can out of him, you have to make it about Immobile. And that's worth doing when you've got a striker who can score 30 goals a season, as he did at his best. But do I think that, to bring it to this right now, do I think that he is good enough for me to believe that they can beat Bayern Munich? I'm going to present the other side to Mina, because they were the worst team to come out of the Champions League group stages. They scored 7 goals, which is the fewest goals of any team in the Champions League group stages. They got through a group that was a very modest group, because they managed to get a draw against Atletico Madrid, which required their goalkeeper to come up and score in injury time at home, and then they split the series with Feyenoord. That's why they're in this. And
Celtic was the other team in the group, wasn't it?
But it is Fino alla fine, right? Like, I mean, they played till the end. Vidal getting a goal. You could spin that to make it like, look how they fight. By the way,
Pedro and Vecino were scoring late goals as well, I seem to recall as well. Producer Simon saying it will be 5-0, incidentally, out of shot. Yeah.
And PSG scored 9 goals, and they have Kylian Mbappe. So, I mean, you know.
They were in the group of death, though, with Milan, Newcastle and Dortmund as well, weren't they? So.
Lazio deserve credit for getting through. Lazio did their part. I think that there's lots of good things you can say about Maurizio Sarri, because I do think that taking Milinkovic-Savic out of this team was very much like sort of kicking one of the foundation stones out from underneath your building and expecting it not to fall down. So I do think that the fact they're at all competitive, he deserves credit for. But when I look at this matchup, if I want to believe, I would say that Bayern Munich have clearly shown us they have a serious implosion in them this season. It happened right at the start of the season in the German Super Cup. I can't think what it's called. And that's it. And it happened again in Leverkusen. When things go wrong for them under Thomas Tuchel, they seem to go catastrophically wrong. But I sort of don't see the path to how Lazio would do it. And for me, what's interesting is not even just because I think he's a better manager, which I do, but if you had Simone Inzaghi there, I'd almost see it more because I'd say, okay, well, they're going to play on the break. They're going to play counter-attacking football. They're going to be effective with it. Lazio under Sarri have been a slightly different animal. They do try to play with possession more. They do try to control the ball more. And I think they've got more or less zero chance of playing that way against Bayern Munich, who I think are going to be more effective looking after the ball, who are going to have more possession. So the question becomes, can you adapt and play in an extremely counter-attacking way? Well, you've got Immobile. I've just said that I think he's a great counter-attacking striker. But you haven't got the links anymore. You haven't got the players to connect it. Who are you asking to fill that role that Milinkovic-Savic was in terms of connecting the team? Well, Alberto's still there, maybe. Felipe Anderson with his running, okay, but we're not talking about the creme de la creme of European football. And I think that's why I can't see them getting a result here personally.
We're not talking about the Lazio side that finished second last season. Can I just say, though, Simone Inzaghi has left Lazio as of 2.5 years ago. I get told off for harking back to Spalletti's glory days last season with Napoli. But you're absolutely right. They have played a different way under Sarri, and since they've lost Milinkovic-Savic. Personally, I feel that since Immobile's got that 200th goal, I feel that was really weighing heavily on him. I think he might actually be liberated now. I saw it in the way he got that penalty against Atalanta. He was on 199. And then he had this hunger to score. He had a couple of chances already before he eventually got the goal at Cagliari. And I don't know, I just feel like big players, and I still think he is a big player, and he has had some famous nights for Lazio. Stranger things have happened. He might, they need everyone to play at their utmost ability, and they need Bayern Munich to drop points. Mina, is it too reductive to compare Bayern to almost the German version of Real Madrid, whereby they are the establishment? They have such high expectations. Is it one of those where if they don't win the Bundesliga, and I think they've fallen to 5 points behind, and it's a 30-game season, if I'm right in thinking, so there's 9 games left or something. If they don't win the league, does it become a must that they win the Champions League? And is that help or a hindrance if it is as black and white as that? Head to SerieChronicles.com/Patreon now and subscribe to the Chronicles Tifosi Patreon membership with a free 7-day trial. Get early access to every full-length episode and voice note before the rest of the world. Plus, all episodes are 100% ad-free. And you get bonus Patreon-only exclusive episodes, video episodes, and behind-the-scenes extras. Also, be sure to join the new chat community in the Patreon app and chat with fellow subscribers.
Sports Social Podcast Network.